Alright, so this is Déjà Vu, and as we can see here, this is a game with battery backup save states, and to my surprise, it's still working some 20 years later. So as we start off with the storyline here, this game takes place in Chicago in the 1940s, and we actually are playing as a character who has amnesia. So he has no idea who he is, or where he is, or how he got here. And, you know, I myself don't know because I've never played this game before. I can only assume that as we get further into the game, that's something that we'll figure out. Now, this game came out on the NES in 1990, but it actually goes back way further than that. This game originally was released in 1985 for the Macintosh as part of the Mac Venture series. Okay, so this game was developed by ICOM Simulations. It was the first of their games to use this engine. Many followed, but really it was one of the first games to use a mouse with this kind of sentence creation puzzle solving that actually really inspired the LucasArts games like Maniac Mansion. Of course, I didn't know that. I thought actually this game came out after Maniac Mansion. I had no idea this game, went all the way back to 1985 on the Mac. In the Macintosh in 1985, there wasn't many computer systems where you could have the high-resolution graphics with the mouse, as all the Macs would have had a mouse back then. This kind of game made perfect sense. But of course it was ported to many other platforms to follow, including Amiga, Atari ST, Commodore 64, the NES, of course, DOS PC, even the Game Boy Color. And, you may have heard me in my pickups video. Like I said, I just picked up this game. I'm playing it for the first time. And in that pickups video I mentioned that this game came out after Shadowgate. And I was actually partially wrong in saying that, because this game came out in 1985, originally for the Macintosh. Shadowgate actually followed. But the reason I was confused, the reason a lot of people who've played this on the NES may have been confused, is that, this game was ported to the NES after Shadowgate was ported to the NES. So on the NES, Shadowgate came out first, and then Déjà Vu. But originally it was the other way around. Now, like I said, I've played Shadowgate before, and I think, for me, that's helping this game, because, they're really identical in the whole engine, in the, all the icons at the bottom of the screen, and the way the inventory system works. It really is the exact same game, just with a different storyline. There's some things in this game that maybe don't make sense. Like, here's a body, okay? And I can examine the body, but, I kind of have a suspicious feeling maybe there's something in his pocket. But how do we say we want to, check his pocket? Well, you have to pick open. It's like you're saying open this dead guy, which makes no sense, but if you think of it as you're opening his pocket, and then you can take the stuff in his pocket, it's just that kind of weird, thought pattern that you have to get into. But having played Shadowgate, I think I'm going to go through this game a lot faster. It's going to seem a lot easier, because I'm sort of used to that, in the way you have to play this game. And basically it comes to a point where you end up clicking on everything, and just trying everything. I remember playing Shadowgate. It's like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do with this? And it just gets to the point where you start, you almost start clicking on everything. But in this one, you can think a little bit more realistically, because in Shadowgate, a lot of there's magic and magical beings, like, there might be a force field here, and it's something you have to imagine, but, in this one, it's taking place in real life, there's not going to be any force fields or magical beings that come and, you know, you can do something to this spirit to make him go away. You know, in this one, it's real. You know, you see a guy, maybe you could shoot him with your gun, you know. So, it's a little bit different there, but, you know, having played Shadowgate, like I said, definitely helps. You know, the graphics on the screen are obviously what you're seeing, and then below that you have your main sentences or, you know, actions that you can do. You can examine something, you know, you can open something, or you can take something. You can use an item. You know, in your top right, you have your main inventory. Amongst other things, you can see the notepad logo below that with a left and right arrow. You can go through your inventory alone will take up more than one screen eventually as you get more items. But one thing that is different in this game is the way you move around. You see you have a move command, and then below that it shows almost like a little map. The map basically represents what you're seeing on the screen, but it shows where you can move to. So you might have multiple doors, you might have a door and a staircase on the screen. So you can click the little map and that representation of where you're going to move to, or you can actually just go up to the top left, the main graphical screen, and you can click on that door or click on that staircase. So there's two ways you can move around. It's maybe just quicker to use the map because you don't have to move the cursor around as much on the screen. And then you'll also see the save option in the bottom right corner. Like I said, this game has a battery backup. You can save at any time, so that's awesome. And you know, this game, just like Shadowgate, just like Myst, just like all those games, really the majority of the time taken is figuring out what to do. You know, it's one of those games, once you figure out what to do, you could probably beat this game in 15 minutes. You know, but it's going to take you hours just to figure out what you're supposed to do, you know, and pay more attention to the storyline. I mean, look at Myst. You can beat Myst in 5 minutes once you know what to do, but it's going to take you hours going to different places and reading things and trying to figure out what you're supposed to do. So, you know, like I said, I like these kind of games, but I can definitely see, you know, why a lot of people wouldn't like this kind of game. You know, I could definitely see a lot of people just, you know, thinking this game is incredibly boring, and you know, that's fine. But I think if you like these kind of games in general, definitely check out, you know, Uninvited, Shadowgate, and this for the NES. I don't think you can go wrong if you like these kind of games. And this is what happens when you die. I mean, you can die basically at any time just by making a wrong choice. But just like pretty much any point-and-click adventure game, you know, those old traditional point-and-click adventure games, and just like Shadowgate, you'll die a lot in this game, but you never really die. I mean, you make a wrong move or something, you know, kills you, but you continue and you basically start right from where you left off. And so there you go, that is Déjà Vu on the NES. Definitely not a game for everyone, but if you like these kind of games, you're gonna like this one.